It starts with Tyler Guyton, the tackle out of Oklahoma. They go to edge rusher Marshawn Nealon out of Western Michigan. They go back to the offensive line with guard Cooper Beebe. Cowboys draft in the composite, lands at 26. The composite grades did not love the Dallas Cowboys, a B from PFF.
Yeah, which feels about right? It's okay.
Yeah.
Guyton is obviously it's a first-round pick, so he's the one that the whole thing is going to hinge on, particularly because they had those needs on the offensive line. What the 5 offensive line now look like is going to be fascinating because Tyler Smith gives you that flexibility. He can play guard or tackle. It sounds like they want him to play guard, but if he does, that means potentially both of your starting tackles are problem spots because quietly, last season coming off that injury, right tackle was by far the biggest problem they had on that offensive line. Terrence Steele, coming off that injury, played terribly. Now, if you think he's going to get back to 100% and this year you're going to get high-end play from him again, then it is just Tyler Guyton at left tackle, Tyler Smith at left guard. But if Terrence Steele is it's just the injury has broken him and he's not any good anymore, then you actually need a right tackle from somewhere.
Yeah, I want to break down Guyton a little bit as a prospect. I just want to lay out what the data says about Guyton. And I'll start with the Cowboys have a great history of drafting first-round offensive linemen. Some of those players that have hit over the years have not been we haven't had college data on, so it's tough to compare them necessarily. But Travis Frederick at center, Tyron Smith at tackle, Zach Martin, one of the best guards in the league. Who else was I missing? There's somebody else in there. But the Cowboys have done a great job. But I think all of those guys, Tyler Smith, who you just mentioned, was a first rounder. All of those guys, either like a Tyler Smith, had very good PFF production, and then panned out in the NFL level. And I imagine if we had PFF production on Zach Martin, we did have 1 year of Travis Frederick actually going back. It was very good. Tyler Guyton's probably, we'll say, the worst production guy that they've drafted in the first round. So can they continue their magic of developing tackles? As we've described, Guyton, when he gets his hands in the right position, when his technique is flawless, it looks unbelievable. It's just a matter of doing it play to play, both from a pass pro standpoint and from a run game standpoint. He's got some ugly losses in there, both on film at Oklahoma and at the Senior Bowl. But he's also a late bloomer type, former tight end, right? And so that's like Jason Peters back in the day goes undrafted as a tight end conversion who needed a couple of years. There's a decent history of tight end conversions, becoming tackle prospects, but it takes time. So him going to Dallas, like if he had gone to San Francisco and they're like, hey, you're going to sit behind Trent Williams, you're going to sit for a couple of years and we're going to develop you, it made more sense. With Dallas, is he going to be forced right into the starting lineup at left tackle? But after they drafted Cooper Beebe, the guard out of Kansas State, who I think is far more ready to play in the NFL right now than Guyton is, does that give that flexibility to kick Tyler Smith out to left tackle, put Cooper Beebe maybe at left guard, and give Guyton the ability to learn on the job here, or to learn as a backup?
The Tyler Smith pick is an interesting one because Tyler Smith, I think from a pass protection standpoint, they were in a similar place. Tyler Smith was a much better run blocker, but it was also at Tulsa where he was just destroying people at a lower level of competition. So I actually think Tyler Smith was being described as a very raw prospect coming out that would need time, and actually Dallas ended up plugging him straight in there. And he played tackle as well as guard. Like he's played both positions and looked good doing both because of the, Tyron Smith is always hurt thing. So actually, if they're able to do that, if that's an indication that Dallas is just really good at this, they can draft guys they draft better players than people are expecting them to, and they're able to polish them quickly before they get into the NFL. Guyton's got a chance because unlike a lot of other developmental tackles, he does have good tape. It's just not all the time. A lot of these other guys, they're literally projects. They have good athleticism and the tape isn't good. Guyton has a lot of good tape, just also has a lot of bad tape. And then the other thing is, I wonder if Cooper Beebe could start at center, because you are looking at this and saying, I don't know where he fits necessarily on this team, but he could probably start. Like in a team that had a hole at guard, he should be starting right away, and I think would be a good player.
Yeah.
The Cowboys don't have a hole at guard. Their two best players are at guard. So you're like, well, where does Beebe fit in this offense? He played tackle for Kansas State, I don't think you want him doing that in the NFL. He's just not that type of player. He also played guard. He didn't play center. At least if he did, it was a handful of snaps. But that's arguably their most acute need right now. Can you kick him inside and try and play him at center?
Doesn't feel like the athlete that they would want there, but he's closer to Tyler Biadasz as an athlete. I mean, Travis Frederick wasn't an athlete in testing terms,
right?
But he moved well on the field, right? He was making some of the best reach blocks.
And Beebe actually, like his athleticism testing was pretty good. He just doesn't look like one.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see if they do try Beebe. I mean, they should at least try it. Try Beebe at center. Right now, they have Brock Hoffman slated to start at center. I don't know if that's the plan going into the season.
PFF Gas says he's a high-end athlete.
So there we go.
For a big man.
I wouldn't. Remember I said don't use gas for offensive linemen? At least not to project performance necessarily. But
I'm just saying I'm
to project
athleticism. I'm saying that the man might look not like what's that you like this 80s wrestling, Dusty Rhodes, right? I don't look like the athlete of the day is supposed to look, right? He might look a little bit like Dusty Rhodes.
Now you're getting me. Cooper Beebe's the American dream here.
There you go.
It's the American dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Just saying he's a better athlete than people are giving him credit for.
Gets the job done. Maybe a little, drops an elbow on some defensive tackles.
So this is kind of what we're saying. Like, it's figuring out what the five looks like. Like, if their five ends up being Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe at center, Zach Martin at right guard, and then hoping Terrence Steele bounces back, I mean, it could work.
One other storyline here with Dallas. Remember, they were picking at 24. They traded out of that spot. They traded down all the way to 29. And in that time, the pick after that was tackle Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. And then Graham Barton by the Bucs. A lot of people wanted Barton for the Cowboys, and that would help potentially, if you believe in Barton's versatility, give them a center option or maybe a tackle option, whatever you want to call it. So they get Guyton to 29. It did seem like that was still their guy that they wanted. He does have all the traits to be a good left tackle. Like I said, it's just he's coming from to me it's an uphill battle just from a production and projection standpoint right now.
Somebody called Fern Delisle, I think, in the chat says that Beebe has been training at center, and that's where he'll play. So I endorse that as a concept. I think that makes sense.
Let's give it a shot there. The other interesting thing about this draft, so Marshawn Kneeland at edge, he reminded me a little bit of Marcus Davenport from a playing style standpoint. A smaller school power edge defender. I think it gives them some DeMarcus Lawrence insurance as Lawrence heads into the last year of his contract, and you need to pay a lot of players. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. Probably going to be difficult to keep DeMarcus Lawrence, so Kneeland's going to play a big role on this team in the coming years. And if you look at the draft in totality, tackle, edge, guard/center in Cooper Beebe, a line of scrimmage type of draft for the Cowboys here.
Yeah, Kneeland's an interesting player. Like, he struck me as another one of these tweeners where I don't know if I just have an inclination to say that guys that are slightly tweener feel better inside than they do on the edge to me, but he was another one that did. But his athleticism is actually pretty high end, and he's got the arm length. Like, there's no reason he can't play on the edge. It's just that I felt like he was better inside for them. Another pick I wanted to give him a shout out for is Ryan Flournoy in the 6th round, Southeast Missouri State. I really liked him as a day 3 sleeper in this draft. Like, he's a really good athlete. He's good at contested catches. He's fearless over the middle. He doesn't quite know what he's doing yet as a route runner, like the level of competition he was playing at. So he's 6'1", 200 pounds. The level of competition he was playing at, he didn't need to know what he was doing. You know what I mean? Like, you can just win by being a good athlete. If you're an NFL athlete playing at Southeast Missouri State as a wide receiver, if you're just a good athlete who can catch, you're going to be a pretty productive receiver there. So he tends to either just sort of run to a spot or, just tries to shake the defensive back without actually having a plan, sort of route running set of tools to do that. But like, if they're able to sort of teach him, get him here, okay, here's how you actually play wide receiver. Here are the route running nuances. Here's how you move defenders with your route rather than just trying to shake loose a guy in man coverage. He could end up being, I think, a good NFL player despite being a 6th round pick.
The other one to highlight for me is cornerback Kalen Carson out of Wake Forest. Moves pretty well and can sit behind, sit at 4 or 5 on the depth chart right now as he develops. So solid all around for the Cowboys. We good?
Yeah.
Got no more use for the Cowboys.